she truly herself? Or merely a mask time has torn away? You ever wake up one day and realize the woman you built a life with isn't the same person anymore? Yesterday, she was packing the kids' lunches, planning that family vacation, folding laundry while humming to herself. She was predictable, familiar, yours. But today, she's glued to her phone. She's buying lingerie you've never seen. She's suddenly obsessed with me, time in that new yoga class. And deep down, your gut is screaming this isn't about yoga. You look at her across the kitchen table, and the thought hits you like a punch. Who is this stranger living in my house? It feels like it happened overnight. But the truth, it's been building for years. A hidden countdown, a time bomb tucked into her psychology, wired to go off somewhere between 30 and 40. Most men don't see it coming. They believe loyalty is insurance. They think, she's been with me for 15 years, raised my kids, built a life we're solid. Brother, that's the illusion. Because when that bomb goes off, it doesn't just shake her world. It shakes your world. And for millions of men, it detonates the marriage, the family, and the future they thought was secure. The scariest part. Nobody warns you about this moment. Not your parents, not your friends, not society. You only learn when you're standing in the wreckage, asking yourself the same haunting question every man before you has asked. What the hell happened to my wife? Here's what most men don't realize. That sudden switch you just felt, it wasn't random. It wasn't some mysterious phase. It was the crack in a foundation that's been shaky since the day she was born. See, from girlhood, women are programmed with one message. Your value is how much you're desired. Be pretty, be wanted, be chosen. And for 2 decades, that program runs like clockwork. From 15 to 30, the world feeds her non-stop validation. Men chase her. Compliments flood in. Her beauty is currency, and it buys her attention everywhere she goes. She doesn't even notice it. It's just the air she breathes. Then, biology does what biology always does. It starts taking it away. At 40, she looks in the mirror and sees someone she doesn't fully recognize. Not ugly, not broken, just different. The face that once stopped conversations now gets polite smiles. The body that used to make men stupid now blends into the background. And this isn't about vanity, it's about identity collapse. Because her whole sense of self was built on being wanted. And now, almost overnight, that supply is drying up. Imagine you spent your entire life being told your worth was tied to one thing. And then, in the middle of your life, that thing begins to fade. That's not just aging. That's an existential crisis. Let me put it another way. Imagine an athlete who built his whole identity on performance. Every ounce of pride, every cheer, every handshake earned through what his body could do. Now age slows him down. He's not bad, but he's not who he was. His career, his purpose, his sense of self, shaken to the core. That's your wife at 40. Only worse. Because for women, it's not just performance, it's existence. Desire is oxygen. And when the oxygen drops, panic sets in. This is why so many men get blindsided. You think you've done everything right. You worked. You provided. You stayed loyal. You built a life together. But what you didn't know is that her inner world is running on a clock you can't control. And when the clock hits 0, the panic takes over. She doesn't want to grow old gracefully. She doesn't want to transition into wisdom and depth. She wants to rage against reality, to prove she's still desirable, to feel young again, no matter the cost. And here's the cruel part. You're steady. Loyal love, the thing you thought would hold her steady, now feels invisible to her. Safe, predictable, but invisible. Brother, this isn't about you. This is about her war with time. And once that war begins, the battleground isn't her mirror. It's your marriage. You and I both know what it feels like to lose a step. You get older, your body doesn't bounce back the way it used to. Maybe you can't run as fast, lift as heavy, or recover as quick. It stings, but you learn to live with it. Now, imagine that same sting multiplied by 10 and tied to your entire identity. That's what women face when they hit their late 30s and 40s. See, a man's value is often tied to what he can do. His work, his resources, his leadership. Those things can actually increase with age. But a woman's value, since the day she was a teenager, has been tied to how much she's wanted. And that doesn't increase with time, it declines. At 20, holding hands was enough to send her heart racing. At 40, she needs an emotional earthquake just to feel a spark. The same dinner date that used to light her up now feels routine. The same devotion she once bragged about now feels like background noise. And here's the brutal truth. Your steady love, the thing you thought was her anchor, now feels invisible to her. Safe, predictable, but invisible. That's why the cruelest betrayals don't usually happen in the early years. They happen after 35. Not because she's evil, not because she doesn't love her family, but because she's desperate. Desperate to feel alive again. Desperate to prove she still matters. Desperate to escape the terror of becoming ordinary. You've probably seen it. The devoted mother of 3 who suddenly starts dressing like her daughter. The church-going wife who sneaks around with the trainer. The woman who had everything: house, kids, security, and still threw it all away for a man who gave her butterflies for 3 months. From the outside, it makes no sense. From the inside, it's survival. Her brain is literally rewiring itself. What used to give her a dopamine rush, your hand, your compliments, your devotion, barely registers anymore. To feel anything, she needs novelty. She needs risk. She needs to be chosen again. And here's the kicker, you can't compete with that. You could double down on being the perfect husband. You could give her everything she says she wants. It still won't match the thrill of being noticed by someone new. That's why so many men are blindsided. They think loyalty is armor. They think stability is protection. But in her midlife crisis, stability feels like a cage. And the very man who gave her that life becomes the symbol of what she's running from. Brother, hear me on this. It's not about you failing. It's about her fear of fading. And when that fear takes over, the battlefield isn't her body or her mirror, it's your marriage. You want to know the exact moment the ground shifts under your feet. It's not when she downloads a dating app. It's not even when she starts pulling away physically. It happens long before that. It starts with nostalgia. She digs out old photo albums and lingers too long. She laughs about her wild years with a sparkle in her eyes. She brings up old boyfriends not with disgust, but with a smile. Suddenly, the past isn't embarrassing anymore. It's romantic. That's your warning shot. That's when the countdown begins. Because nostalgia is fuel, and all it takes is one tiny spark of validation from the outside to ignite it. Here's how it works. Your love, your devotion, it doesn't hit her the same way anymore. Not because it's weak, but because it's guaranteed. You're her husband. You're locked in. You're obligated. But that random compliment from a stranger at the coffee shop, that coworker who notices her new haircut, That smile from the trainer at the gym. That's not obligated. That's chosen. And brother, chosen attention is the most addictive drug a 40-year-old woman can taste. That one spark feels like oxygen rushing into a drowning soul. It tells her, you still matter. You still have it. You're still wanted. And the cruel truth, that single compliment can outweigh 10 years of your devotion. Not because she doesn't love you, but because her brain is starving for novelty, starving for proof that she's not invisible yet. This is why married women over 40 are the easiest targets for seduction. It's not about being immoral. It's about being hungry. Hungry for something you physically can't give her anymore. The thrill of being chosen by someone who doesn't have to choose her. And once she gets that first taste, it's never just innocent. It becomes an itch, a reminder of what used to be, a whisper that she could still live differently. You'll notice the shift. She gets more protective of her phone. She mentions a name too often, or never at all. She picks fights for no reason, or she becomes eerily sweet, almost guilty sweet. That's the cocktail in action. Nostalgia mixed with outside validation. Once she drinks it, your steady love feels like water, and she's chasing fire. Here's what you need to understand. It's not about the guy. It's not even about you. It's about her fight against fading. That stranger just happens to be the mirror reflecting back the youth she's terrified of losing. And once that mirror appears, your marriage isn't just in trouble, it's in danger. Let's be real. The crisis she's going through doesn't happen in a vacuum. It doesn't just come from biology or nostalgia. It's fueled daily by the culture she's drowning in. When a man turns 40, the world pats him on the back. Distinguished, silver fox, in your prime. His gray hair is a badge of wisdom. His age makes him more attractive in the eyes of society. When a woman turns 40, the world whispers something very different. You're expired. The same media that once glorified her youth now sells her anti-aging creams, Botox ads, and miracle diets. Every scroll through Instagram shows her 20-somethings with perfect skin and perfect lighting, reminding her of everything she thinks she's losing. And just when she's most vulnerable, society hands her the poison in a pretty glass. You deserve better. Find yourself. Follow your heart. Sounds empowering, right? But let's translate that. What it really means is burn it all down. The kids, the vows, the stability. None of that matters as much as chasing one last hit of feeling special. Think about it. When a man hits midlife, what's the advice he hears? Stay strong. Provide. Be steady. When a woman hits midlife, the advice is the opposite. Rebel. Reinvent. Walk away. And here's the kicker, she's applauded for it. Society calls it bravery. She's living her truth. She's finally free. But nobody talks about the wreckage left behind. The husband blindsided, trying to explain to his kids why mommy has a new boyfriend. The children who lose the stability they never asked to give up. The home that goes from laughter to silence. And you know what makes it worse? Those voices don't just come from TV and magazines. They come from her circle of friends. Divorced women who gather for wine nights, who tell her, life's too short, you deserve happiness, you should leave. They're not mentors, they're dealers. Dealers selling her the drug of validation because misery loves company. Nothing validates a bad decision like convincing someone else to make the same one. So now she's not just fighting her biology, she's swimming in a culture designed to feed her panic. Every ad, every scroll, every conversation pushing the same message. Don't settle, don't age, don't stay. And here's the painful truth. Your steady devotion, your quiet loyalty, your family history, all of it is no match for a world screaming at her to throw it away. Brother, this is the battlefield you're standing on. It's not just you and her, it's you, her, and an entire culture whispering in her ear, daring her to destroy everything you built together. By the time she makes her move, something strange happens. It's not enough for her to walk away. She has to rewrite the story of your entire marriage. Suddenly, the same woman who laughed with you on vacations, who cried happy tears reading your love letters, who clung to you during storms in life, now claims it was all fake. She'll say things like, "We were never really happy. You were controlling. I was pretending the whole time." 15 years of memories gone. Photos, anniversaries, inside jokes, they all get tossed into the fire of her new narrative. Why? Because in order to be the hero of her new story, she needs you to be the villain of the old one. She can't face the truth that she's blowing up a good life for a temporary high. That reality would crush her. So instead, she reframes the past. You become the monster, the oppressor, the reason she had to leave. And here's where it cuts deep. The kids get dragged into this rewrite too. She tells herself, they'll understand. That one day, when they're older, they'll look back and say, "Mom did the right thing." But kids don't crave their mom's happiness. They crave stability. They crave security. They crave both parents being there. What she calls freedom, they experience as abandonment. What she calls reinvention, they experience as chaos. I've seen it too many times. Grown children in therapy saying, "I never understood why Mom left. Dad was there. He was stable. She said she needed to be happy. But what about our happiness?" This is the part that never makes it to the Instagram posts or the wine night stories. Society applauds her for being brave. Nobody talks about the collateral damage the little hearts cracked open, because Mom's midlife panic mattered more than their need for home. And here's the most brutal truth once she rewrites the past. There's no reasoning with her. You can show her photos, videos, love letters, journals, evidence of joy. She'll dismiss it all as pretending. Because admitting the truth that she once loved you deeply and is now betraying that love would mean admitting the destruction is her choice. So she builds a lie big enough to live inside. And she expects everyone, including the kids, to believe it. Brother, this is why so many men walk around confused, broken, questioning their own reality. It's not that you misremembered your marriage. It's that she had to erase it in order to survive the guilt of leaving it. And once that rewrite begins, you're not just losing your wife, you're losing the shared history you thought would always be untouchable. Every man faces a midlife crisis at some point. It creeps up on you in your 40s or 50s. You look in the mirror and realize you're not 25 anymore. Your back hurts, your hairline's retreating, and your dreams of being a rock star died a long time ago. What do most men do? They buy a car. They chase a new hobby. Maybe they flirt with adventure motorcycles, hiking trips, a little reckless spending. It's embarrassing, maybe even childish, but it's rarely catastrophic. Because here's the key: when men age, society tells them their options are still there. A man with gray at his temples is called distinguished. A dad bod with a good career is seen as stable. His value doesn't vanish with time, it often grows. But women are told the exact opposite. When she ages, the world whispers, "You're fading. You're invisible. You're expired." Every birthday after 30 feels like a funeral for her youth. While men are told their wine is getting better with age, women are told their milk is going sour. That difference is why midlife looks so different for the sexes. For men, a crisis bruises the ego. He feels older, but he knows deep down that if he wanted to, he could still attract someone new. Just knowing he has options is enough to steady him. For women, it's the opposite. She feels her options slipping away with every passing year. And that panic doesn't bruise her ego, it consumes her. So when men hit a midlife wall, they usually try to add something to their life cars, hobbies, adventures. But when women hit theirs, they often try to erase something: their marriage, their family, the life that reminds them time has passed. That's why men's midlife crises look silly, while women's midlife crises destroy families. I've seen men buy boats, then sell them 6 months later. Nobody gets hurt. I've also seen women blow up 20-year marriages, traumatize kids, and trade stability for a fling with a coworker, all because they couldn't face what the mirror was telling them. It's not about fairness, it's about psychology. Men age into abundance. Women age into scarcity. And that scarcity breeds desperation. Desperation to feel alive. Desperation to feel wanted. Desperation to escape the terror of being ordinary. Brother, never mistake the two crises as equal. A man's midlife crisis might embarrass his family. A woman's midlife crisis can destroy it. Let's strip away all the excuses, all the noise, all the justifications. Here's the truth most men never hear until it's too late. She doesn't leave because of you. She leaves because of time. It's not about your job. It's not about the house. It's not even about whether you were the perfect husband or not. You could have been flawless, faithful, generous, romantic. It wouldn't have mattered, because she's not running towards something better. She's running from something inevitable: aging, invisibility, mortality. And here's the cruel irony: you, her safe, loyal husband, become the living, breathing reminder of everything she fears. Every wrinkle she sees in the mirror, every birthday candle she blows out, every teenage girl she compares herself to, it all points to one truth. Time is passing, and you, the man who's been there through it all, are the mirror she can't face. She doesn't see your devotion anymore. She sees her fading youth reflected back at her. That's why you could have been the perfect man, and she still would have left. Because perfection can't compete with panic. Loyalty can't compete with fear. And love can't compete with the lie her brain is telling her that maybe, just step, she can outrun time if she chases novelty. Think about how twisted that is. You built a life with her. You chose her when she had options. You stood beside her through storms, through children, through years of sacrifice. And your reward, to become the symbol of what she's trying to escape. This is the part no one dares say out loud. Society paints her as brave, empowered, living her truth. But the real truth, she's terrified. Terrified of fading. Terrified of being ordinary. Terrified of facing the fact that life doesn't hand out unlimited second chances. So instead of making peace with that, she burns it all down. And you, my brother, get caught in the fire. The brutal truth is this: her leaving was never about your failures. It was about her fear. And once fear takes the wheel, logic, loyalty, and love don't stand a chance. By now, you probably feel the weight of it. The sudden switch, the identity collapse, the nostalgia, the validation hits, the rewriting of history. It's brutal. And the hardest part, most men never see it coming until it's too late. So what do? How do you protect yourself when the woman you built a life with starts turning into someone you barely recognize? Firstly, recognize the signs. Don't walk blind into the storm. The signs are always there. You just have to be willing to see them. Obsession with youth, constant nostalgia, a sudden need for male validation, nights out with divorced friends who chant you deserve better, hidden phones, protectiveness over passwords, picking fights for no reason, or going eerily calm. These aren't random. They're early warning flares. You can't stop the clock, but you can stop ignoring the alarms. Secondly, don't blame yourself. This one is critical. When it all unravels, your first instinct will be to blame yourself. Maybe if I had worked harder, looked better, loved her more. Stop. Her war isn't with you, it's with time. You didn't fail her. She failed to make peace with reality, and no amount of your effort could have saved her from that war. So don't carry guilt that isn't yours. Don't let her rewrite of history become your truth. Hold on to what you know you showed up. You stayed loyal. You built something real. Thirdly, protect yourself and your kids. This is the part men hate to hear, but it's necessary. If she decides to detonate, she won't just destroy herself. She'll take the whole house down with her. So you need to prepare. Document everything. Secure your assets. Protect your children. Because once she flips that switch, her actions won't be guided by reason, they'll be driven by fear and validation. And fear doesn't care about collateral damage. Brother, I wish I could tell you there was a magic fix. That if you just love harder, pray harder, fight harder, you can stop the bomb from going off. But the truth is, you can't control another person's battle with time. What you can control is how you respond. You can refuse to drown in blame. You can recognize the warning signs early. You can step into strength instead of despair. And most importantly, you can protect yourself and your kids from being destroyed in the blast. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about losing a wife, it's about saving yourself and making sure your children still have stability when the storm finally hits. At the end of it all, here's the truth. You can't ignore the woman you married at 25 is not the same woman at 40. She's been rewired, different hormones, different priorities, different fears. And the cruel paradox: she doesn't blow up your family because she stopped loving you. She blows it up because she can't stop fearing herself. Fear of aging, fear of invisibility, fear of becoming ordinary. That fear is louder than your devotion, stronger than your history, and more seductive than your stability. You could have been perfect, and she still might have left, because her battle was never with you, it was with time. And that's why you need to stop carrying guilt that was never yours. You didn't fail her. You stood by her. You built. You gave. And if she chose to burn it down, that's on her, not you. So what do you do now? Recognize the signs. Protect yourself and your kids. And most of all, rebuild you. Because when the smoke clears, the one thing you can't lose is yourself. Brother, hear me. Her fear may have destroyed your family, but it doesn't have to destroy your future. Stand tall. Refuse to be defined by her choices. and take this pain and turn it into power. If this truth hit you, don't just sit with it. Share it with another man who needs to hear it. You might just save him years of confusion, heartbreak, and silence. Thank you for watching. If this message hit you, don't just scroll away. Subscribe, dive deeper into our content, and start building the mindset that puts you back in control. Drop a comment below. What's the biggest struggle you want us to break down next? Let's build a brotherhood of men who rise above confusion and reclaim their power. See you in the next video.